Which country is the richest in Europe? Which country has the highest GDP per capita in the world? Which country has 2 times more mobile phones than population? If you didn't know, it's Luxembourg. What? You may ask. Yes, it's about Luxembourg, where all transportation is free, there are almost no prisons, and one of the highest average salaries in the world. Luxembourg is one of the 12 countries that founded NATO and one of the 6 countries that founded the European Union. But is everything as good in Luxembourg as it might seem at first glance? After all, there is another side that no travel guidebook will tell you about. In 10 minutes, I will tell you how Luxembourg has achieved such economic success, but at the same time is experiencing problems. As a country with the highest GDP per capita, it is in 6th place in terms of external debt. Are you ready? Then let's get going. But before we talk about the problems, let's first find out how such a small country with an area the size of a tenth of Beijing has achieved such success. Let's play a little game. Imagine you are Luxembourg and you live somewhere in the late 19th century. There is an industrial boom in Europe, everyone is producing something, and you are surrounded by countries like Germany, Belgium, and France. What could you do to get rich? The answer is simple. Become a leader in the steel industry. However, this requires that you have iron ore, and you have already found it. Next, you need the most advanced technologies, and now you are the world leader in steel production. For example, did you know that skyscrapers in Chicago and New York are made of Luxembourg steel? Today, Luxembourg is the world's 2nd largest producer of this product after China. So, from 1870 to 1970, the main sector for economic growth in the country was industry. In 1970, the country began to actively develop its financial sector. The number of banks and investment funds is growing. And then Luxembourg invented low taxes. This becomes very attractive for foreign companies. In particular, the law on holdings actually exempted large holding companies from taxes. Of course, they paid them, but 10 times less than any other European countries. Here is just one example. The 3rd richest man in the world, French tycoon Bernard Arnault, who holds many assets in Luxembourg, was able to take almost $900 million in dividends without a tax burden when he sold his stake in the Carrefour retailer. That is why Luxembourg is called a tax haven and is very popular with billionaires and wealthy investors. Foreign investments are actively starting to enter the country. Today, there are more than 150 banks in Luxembourg, of which only 5 are local, as well as 15,000 funds with assets equal to $4.6 trillion. Is it impressive? For me, personally, it is very impressive. But it is very much like Switzerland, you may say. And you will be right. But the fact is that Luxembourg has one advantage. The country is a member of the European Union and makes payments in euros. This gives tax and legal advantages that are not available to Swiss banks. Many giants and wealthy holdings have decided to register a company in Luxembourg. Therefore, the headquarters of well-known companies are located here. Thus, the developed financial industry and industry form the basis of the Luxembourg economy. In addition to steel trade, Luxembourg also successfully sells metal products, plastic products, machinery and equipment, food, and much more. That is why Luxembourg has become so rich. In general, there are no bad neighborhoods, bad schools, or bad hospitals in Luxembourg. State insurance fully covers treatment. There are only 2 higher education institutions in the country, but education is free, and there are no entrance exams. The Luxembourg Army has only 1,000 people, and a school teacher can earn $10,000. This is all very well and good, but when will it be about the problems of the world's only duchy? After all, this is what the video is about. So, let's take a look at the dark side. But first, do me a favor and subscribe to my channel. Believe me, there is a lot of interesting stuff here. So we are still in a country where transportation is completely free. Yes, this fact impresses me the most. and where the cozy village of Schengen is located. It was there that the famous Schengen Agreement was signed, which destroyed borders in Europe. To be more precise, it was signed on a ship that was sailing past the village at that moment. As we already know, the financial sector is the backbone of the Luxembourg economy. But in 2008, the first problems arose. What do you think this is due to? Absolutely due to the financial crisis of 2008. Of course, it had a negative impact on the financial sector, which in turn had a negative impact on the Luxembourg economy. But the problems did not end there. In 2014, the LuxLeaks financial scandal broke out in the world. A journalistic investigation revealed that many foreign companies used Luxembourg to avoid paying taxes. The LuxLeaks case involved 340 of the largest national and multinational companies around the world. It is believed that with the support of the Luxembourg authorities, they created a complete tax evasion scheme, reducing payments in some cases to only 1%. Of course, this had a strong impact on the country. Luxembourg received a warning from the European Union and was forced to reform its legislation in accordance with their requirements. But the problems in the financial sector are only the beginning. The real problems are yet to come. So what do we have? On the one hand, a certain stagnation of the Luxembourg economy over the past 10 years. On the other hand, low unemployment and high average salaries. At the same time, 50% of the country's population is made up of migrants. What do you think is really worrying the Luxembourg economy now? Natural disasters, labor shortages, corruption, or inflation? The correct answer is the lack of labor. What? But that's not logical. Didn't you just say that the country has a high average salary and 50% of migrants? That's true, but not quite. The fact is that 50% of these 50% do not live in Luxembourg. They live in Belgium, France, Germany, and they go to work in Luxembourg using the same free transportation. But why can't Luxembourg follow Canada's lead and attract more migrants to the country? There are reasons for this. As I said before, Luxembourg has quite high salaries, but also high prices for everything. Living is expensive, and not everyone has enough money to buy real estate. The cost of renting a studio will cost about $1,500, and if you have a family, the cost of a two-bedroom apartment will double and cost $3,000. Luxembourg is among the most unaffordable countries in the world. The cost of goods for a family of four will be an average of $3,200, and this is for basic necessities. This is one of the few places in the world where it is more profitable to shop abroad. Also, jobs are becoming increasingly unavailable for migrants due to increasing requirements and a complicated visa system. Your employer will have to prove to the authorities that they could not find anyone in the entire EU with your qualifications. Not many people will do that. In addition, Luxembourg has 3 languages of communication: Luxembourgish, French, and German. Knowing one language may not be enough. Add one more fact to this. You might just be bored there. Yes, bored. The country has almost no bars and nightclubs for young people, and no amusement parks or theme parks for families with children. These factors contribute to the shortage of skilled labor. Zombie companies are another factor that has a negative impact on the Luxembourg economy. What? What are these zombies? In other words, these are companies that exist but do not produce anything useful. They seem to be dead, but on the other hand, they continue to live due to financial injections from the state. That is, they have huge debts and they take more money to cover these debts. This practice of zombie companies usually drags the economy down. In which country do you think zombie companies have led to economic stagnation? In Argentina, Germany, Japan, or Australia? The correct answer is Japan. Zombie companies, and there was a third of them in the country, were one of the reasons that led to the stagnation of the Japanese economy for 30 years. And at that time, Japan was the second largest economy in the world after the United States. There is a video about this on my channel. And finally, innovation. This is a factor that has a strong impact on economies around the world. Do you remember how Luxembourg's success began? They found iron ore, installed advanced technologies at their plants, and became a world leader in steel production. Nowadays, almost no money is allocated for the development of these very advanced technologies. Luxembourg spends only 1.2% of its GDP on research. In the long run, this could push the Luxembourg economy far from the top of the world rankings. So we have looked at what made Luxembourg such a rich country, but at the same time, what problems it is currently experiencing. Lack of skilled labor, zombie companies, and a lack of innovation all have a negative impact on the country's economy. But at the same time, Luxembourg remains an example of how a country with a small area and population can be turned into one of the richest on Earth. A developed financial industry supported by a developed industry is the key to success. Will Luxembourg continue to be so successful? Write in the comments and don't miss my next video. Thank you for watching and see you soon.